The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We finally made it. It's Friday. It's October 20th. And today is, Dr. T, you're going to love this, today is International Mastocytosis. I'm murdering this. Mastocytosis and mast cell disease awareness day. How bad did I murder that, Dr. T?
I have no idea.
Metastasiosis. Metastasiosis. It's got to be that's what it is. Oh, well. Oh, well. If the doctor doesn't know, I don't feel as bad anyway then. So it's also, oh, man, Rico, I hope you're ready for this.
Mastocytosis.
That's it. Mastocytosis. Thank you. There we go.
Increase of mast cells. Yeah, okay.
Yep. And you know what else it is today, Rico? That's right. Oh, man, it's Rocco's Day because today is Chicken and Waffles Day. International Day.
Yeah. Shout out to Roscoe's. Everybody in LA, hit your local favorite spot and just make sure that you get takeout because people get out there.
Yeah, when I used to eat meat, the number 13 is the best thing that they have on their menu over there. So make sure you check it out. It's also International Day of the Air Traffic Controller, International Chef's Day, National Youth Confidence Day, because we know the youth need a lot of confidence nowadays, and it's National Brandied Fruit Day. So shout out, I guess, to like Sunkissed and like Washington Apples, I guess, or you know what I mean? But thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top-hand corner of your screen to see where you live on the internet. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, and now we are also streaming on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Rumble. So welcome to anyone joining us from any of those platforms as well. But kicking it off first, that's right, we have the dope dad himself. That's right, it's Rico Lamitte, who has been metastasizing over the last few days on his Welcome Back campaign. That's right, it is none other than the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Crowd goes wild. Mm-hmm. You know, Jason, I was gonna call you out on the number 13 at Roscoe's as being the Obama special, but it's not.
Number 13 is the best thing they have on the menu.
Number 13 is Carol C, the Carol C special.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, big shout out to Roscoe's, man. One of my favorite spots.
Big shout out to Carol C for having good taste.
Yeah, Carol C, whoever she is,
whoever that is.
But you know what? My story. We have some numbers in cannabis in Q3. And love them or hate them, the big box MSOs, with their broad retail footprint spanning multiple regional markets in both adult use and medical lanes, offer much clearer insight than their mom and pop counterparts in the cannabis industry's overall economic health. Though different DBAs are used for varying reasons in different markets, most utilize top-down SOPs, much like mainstream American corporations. So the results generated by these companies provide analytics firms like Zuanic and Associates, apples-to-apples comparisons, providing a more accurate assessment on how good or bad the green economies in each state are doing. Most Q3 numbers have now been reported, and we're seeing mixed results, with Maryland coming out as a clear winner, with sales more than doubling the second quarter, following the state's recreational sales rollout in July, and Arizona is looking like the biggest loser, with major logos exiting and 2023 sales continuing to slide after hitting rock bottom in July. All in all, ZNA show that 10 states have a steady uptick in sequential year-over-year sales, and 7 others riding shotgun with no seatbelt on the struggle bus. Let's break into it. So Maryland's looking like an early favorite of rookie of the market of the year, and both wholesale prices and retail spreads are up sharply since July's rec market launch, with an average annual revenue run rate of north of $10 million per store. Other notables on the upside were Michigan and Connecticut, who saw sequential sales growth of 10 and 8% respectively. And then on the other side, got Missouri, Ohio, and Oregon continuing their steady pace in the race to the bottom, with each state building upon previous downward sales trends. But this big shady story in all of this, the struggle state lane, is definitely Arizona. On the surface, sure, like many others, Arizona reported a dip compared to previous years. Not much has changed, so rational thinking points to the dip being partly seasonal. But when added to a sharp 37% decline in retail flower pricing, Arizona's cooking up a Southwestern recipe a little too spicy for the unrefined Chad palates of Cresco and Air Wellness, both of which recently announced that they'd be getting the fuck out of that Copper State kitchen and heading to more lucrative state markets. Game recognized game, and Arizona is looking very familiar to Massachusetts right now. Hopefully, the former's mass MSO exodus doesn't gut the market like Trulieve and Curaleaf's did the latter. Just saying. But returning to the fact that these numbers are coming off multi-state operators, mixed bag of results could actually be a positive thing when looking at the national balance sheets. Curaleaf, for example, doesn't really need to panic yet. Their remaining state retail portfolio shows them allows them to counterbalance negative pressure from Arizona and their poor results there with positive growth in markets like New Jersey and Maryland. Cresco's fallout is linked to the failed Puff Daddy deal with Columbia Care. It's been a rough year indeed for Mr. Combs. Lots of stuff going on there, I tell you. But Cresco announced this week it completed the sale of its sole Arizona business, Encanto, to an affiliate of Mint Cannabis for $6.5 million. In a statement similar to Kim Rivers when she announced that she'd be leaving Massachusetts and taking Trulieve's talents to Florida, Cresco CEO Charles Bachtell said Thursday that on the heels of this summer's epic P. Diddy Columbia Care mega merger failure, his company too would be looking to focus on, quote, core markets and products. In the presser, he said this: as we have highlighted over the past several quarters, we are focused on strengthening our operations and increasing profitability. Our exit from Arizona aligns with our strategy to optimize our portfolio by prioritizing assets with a greater path to scale. And surprise, surprise, Cresco did not need safe banking to secure a 10-year, $25.3 million conventional mortgage on properties in Allenville, New York, with initial funding providing $20 million and a very favorable interest rate of 8.4%.
Mm.
New York. Bachtell said that the non-dilutive financing is another sensible tool for optimizing Cresco's balance sheet and lowering the cost of capital as they continue to strengthen their overall business, end quote. Arizona sales growth has shown a mere 2% uptick since inception back in 2021, and Headsets Analysis blames all of that slow growth on a continued concentration of brands driven deeper investments in house brands produced and sold by the same vertical retailer. Arizona's consolidation trend ranks the Grand Canyon state second only to Massachusetts in this aspect. Yet again, game recognized game, poor game. And final August and September sales have yet to be reported, but Arizona is still projected to match 2022 annual sales of $1.4 billion. But what's going on here is behind the scenes. The total for 2023 thus far is just under $1 billion in marijuana sales and 714 in recreational, 714 million in recreational, 241 in medical. But GMR reported back in September Trulieve's insider kickback allegations in Arizona. The state's unofficial pay-to-play schemes and limited licensing structure continue to render the market unattractive to new investment money. That is the market update for Q3 as we bring those numbers into a close here. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this, man? MSO numbers are in, and the market is up and down.
Who was it, Rico, that pulled out of Arizona?
Trulieve.
Trulieve. That
Oh,
is
no, excuse me, Cresco.
that is fascinating because from my understanding, the Arizona market is like people are actually making money down there, and people are actually
If
having
you were
decent
in the
sales.
market, yeah, Green Market Report, John Schroyer reported on that last month. There's a huge kickback scheme
Hmm.
related to leave out there, and a lot of the people who have been there from the beginning are doing well, but no new money's coming into the state.
Interesting.
Where they recently reviewed the financial performance of the large MSOs and MJ Biz Daily. There's a lot of red in that chart. A lot of these companies are not making profit at all. And yeah, um, I just wanted to say that they're not profitable for whatever reason.
Yeah, the upside here that they're seeing is mostly in New Jersey, Maryland, and there's a lot of there's a lot of predictions about New York actually having a killer Q4 and Q1 because they're letting the MSOs in. As you see, Cresco got that $25 million loan.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I think that $25 million loan from
8%.
Cresco is a little misleading, Rico, because you said it was a real estate loan, so therefore it was secured by real estate that is already owned by Cresco, and so that
You don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little
you don't
misleading.
know.
It's not a cannabis loan; it's a real estate loan.
Well,
Big
and what's the
difference.
percentage of New York produced cannabis that's in the largest marketplace in the state, which is New York City? Most of that weed comes from elsewhere. It does not come from New York licensed growers.
Well,
That's it.
at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't want to smoke anything from those New York licensed growers because the only thing that they're selling is, a year and a half old.
So what you're saying, Jason, is if you go out in New York, you should probably look for the California logo on there.
Well, I mean, I'll put it to you like this: I wouldn't be shopping in a licensed store in New York. I'd only be shopping at some little trap bodega or whatever, or even one of the collective stores or members only stores, whatever they're choosing to identify as.
I would
How
actually
is the
go in there.
how's the California market doing, Rico? Is it up or down?
Trash,
It's down.
trash. It just all the MSOs are out.
Yeah, it's
Most
down.
of the MSOs.
It's
No.
down.
Down.
So it's a lot harder to. It's a lot
Well,
harder to.
my story today is going to touch on one of the reasons why it's down. Is because California is being flooded with all these psychoactive products that are derived from hemp.
The plot thickens.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Well,
First commercial going, Jason.
what's that?
You got first commercial.
Yes. We have our first commercial coming up. We're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
That's what I was going to say. This is a reflection of the trap. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, speaking of reflections of the trap, our next presenter is known for smoking on the best weed in the world and his unwavering support of people who shouldn't be in office. But
Oh,
we're not gonna go
God.
there today. You know who it is? It's Jason
right.
Beck.
You mean people that should be in office because everyone was better off when he was there. That's what you must mean, Rico. But nonetheless, I'm yet to find a person that's better off under Biden than under Trump. But whatever, doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what does matter. Oh boy, here's an interesting one. Florida Supreme Court is weighing a prison guard's dismissal for using medical cannabis to treat PTSD. A case filed with the Florida Supreme Court tests whether the Department of Corrections properly fired a corrections officer because of his use of medical marijuana while at work. Florida's first District Court of Appeal upheld the firing, but Samuel Velez Ortiz now argues before the state Supreme Court that the action violates both the Florida Constitution's sanction of medical marijuana and the U.S. Supreme Court's recent rulings establishing a broad right to bear firearms. Pow, pow, pow. The state's Public Employees Relation Commission upheld the firing, reasoning that the medical marijuana use rendered him unqualified to carry a firearm, a condition of his employment employment under federal law prohibiting the use of the drug. A petition that Velez Ortiz attorneys filed with the state Supreme Court cites 2022 New York's state rifle pistol versus Bruin, in which the justices in Washington established a public right to carry firearms outside of the home for self-protection. Subsequent rulings by a federal judge in Oklahoma and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit upheld the right of sober persons to carry guns even if they smoked marijuana on other occasions. In a quote, this lower court's opinion permits a sanction on medical marijuana patients, which results in loss of employment for being a qualified patient and strips a person's right to bear arms for being a qualified patient. The opinion states because he uses medical marijuana, he cannot lawfully possess a firearm. Each time he does, he's committing a felony. The brief notes that Velez Ortiz was qualified under medical marijuana user because of his PTSD and never worked while under the influence. A random drug test flagged him for cannabis metabolites. Florida's voters back in 2016 added the amendment to the state constitution allowing the use of marijuana to treat a number of conditions, and the state regulates the drug's cultivation and sale. And the state's reply was brief. Filed on Thursday, notes that federal law makes it a felony for prohibited persons to possess a firearm, and prohibited persons include those unlawfully using controlled substances under the Controlled Substances Act, like marijuana. It continues and says, and because Florida law also requires corrections officers to possess good moral character, which necessarily includes not engaging in felonies conduct, the court determined that the petitioner could not use medical marijuana and maintain his certification as a corrections officer. The case of Velez Ortiz versus Florida Department of Corrections, and he reportedly began working for the department back in 2013, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has diagnosed him with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, and the record before the Supreme Court is unclear about where Velez Ortiz worked. But, man, oh man, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, Chris Akers, in regards with this corrections officer getting fired for smoking cannabis under unjust, unconstitutional pretense that people that smoke cannabis cannot possess firearms. But this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think about this?
Didn't the rapper Rick Ross do the same thing?
What's that?
He was a correctional officer.
Who are you talking about, Rick Ross?
I'm talking about the rapper Rick Ross.
Yeah, he wasn't no weed smoker like that. Stop it. He's an impersonator. Yeah. What do you think about this, Chris? Former law enforcement?
I think it's going to set, I think it's one to follow and potentially across, other folks who want to carry firearms and consume cannabis. I think I've said this before. I think it's one thing to currently the standards are like this, right? You could essentially show up hungover, which I would argue is under the effects of alcohol because physically you're affected by it, even though it may not be in your system. You've got a headache, you're slow to react, you're grumpy, didn't sleep well, whatever. And that's okay, right? No one bats an eye today. Seen it, time and time again. But I can't, smoke a joint, go to bed, get a good night's sleep, wake up well rested, not under the effects of cannabis, but it is still in my system. So it's the opposite kind of, right? I think it's going to be one to follow. And I think it potentially could set some interesting precedences around the country.
I wonder, Chris, do you think that the reason that it is almost kind of like a form of basically kind of like planned obsolescence, meaning in the sense that the state needs people drinking so in that way they can get an adequate number of cases to fund the justice system?
Oh, interesting. That's. I'd have to give that some thought.
Yeah, you should give that some
Rico's
thought.
got some comments. Rico's got some comments. I know. I can see it.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit go down.
Yeah, geez. I wasn't ready for that one, Jay.
I mean, you guys do get quotas, right, Chris? Or you guys did get quotas?
No quotas.
You guys never.
No, here's the thing. So quotas are illegal. I've never been given a quota, and I would be the first to push back on that. But you do hear stories of agencies that try to wordsmith or weasel language in to get quotas. For sure, you do hear that.
What about the saying, the bigger the bust, the bigger the boost?
Can't say I've used that one myself, but I'm happy to hear you elaborate on it.
Well, I mean, the bigger the bust, the bigger the boost, meaning the bigger the bust a law enforcement officer makes, the higher the promotion that they would get.
No, unfortunately, I'd say I've seen a lot of supervisors. This is one of sort of the issues I have with law enforcement when you kind of peel back the onion layers and get behind the curtain. The people that they promote aren't always the most experienced. So you've got sergeants that are running squads of officers that have never done the work that they're asking those officers to do. I think leadership within law enforcement has a tremendous amount of ground to cover to catch up and get where it needs to be.
Interesting. Any thoughts on this, Dr. T or Dr. Mark? Dr. T's tapping out on this one. Dr. Mark is scratching his head. He doesn't even know how to quantify all this because it's not a formulation. Dr. Mark.
I think individual states are taking a stab at trying to figure this out. I know up here in Vermont, they did have an issue with an employee who was released because they tested positive, but it wasn't affecting his work performance, so they had to take him back. But yeah, this is a shit show that they need to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is that cannabis broadens the mind, and so to get law enforcers to use cannabis more may really change this issue with police officers and people of color and the abuse that's happening between them.
Yeah, I think if you allow law enforcement to be able to consume, I think there would definitely be a lot less police brutality overall.
It may be a question to ask Chris. Are you aware of any case where someone, say, used in an adult use state like Vermont or Colorado, and then went back to a state that didn't have a cannabis program and lost their job over testing positive?
Oh, great one. I'm not personally aware, but I have to assume that that's happened or is going to happen very soon, right? Absolutely. That's not one that I'm well versed in or know of somebody personally, but I think that that's something we're going to see if we haven't seen it already.
I think you should ask the police union if they have any cases that match that, Chris.
Yeah. Which union?
Any of them, any police union. All of them.
I think didn't we see recently stories out of New Jersey about certain municipalities there? I want to say Jersey City, about allowing officers to consume, right?
Yep, we covered a story that was an update on that just yesterday, as a matter of fact, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, on that, we are going to keep this train moving. We are going to move right on into Dr. Gene Talleyrand. He's the founder of Medican and the co-founder of CESC. That's right. And he probably wrote your parents' recommendation as well, as maybe even yours. That's right. Isn't another than Mr. Dr. Gene Talleyrand.
Thanks, Jason. Happy Friday, everyone. Okay, so my story today is from Normal. Cannabis use common for those recuperating from painful work-related injuries. Nearly 1/4 of Canadians with a painful work-related injury used cannabis during their recovery, according to data published in the Canadian Journal of Public Health. Researchers at the University of Toronto School of Public Health interviewed 1,650 workers who received workers' compensation benefits in order to evaluate any association between pain severity, cannabis use, and how much wage benefits and healthcare expenses they received. 31% of the study participants used cannabis over the past year. 1/3 used because of painful work-related injury, and 22% of those with severe pain used cannabis as part of their treatment. The researchers made the effort to point out that cannabis users did not claim more wage and health benefits than non-cannabis users. The authors concluded, this study is one of a limited number of studies assessing the association between cannabis use and disability benefit expenditures in a sample of work disability episodes. The evidence presented in this study does not find a substantial association of cannabis use with disability benefits expenditures. So why was this an objective of the study? Did the researchers think patients would claim more benefits and then use money to purchase cannabis? It's a strange concern. The authors continue. These findings contribute information to support decision making among clinicians and disability authorities on the potential benefits and risks associated with cannabis use in settings that have legalized cannabis. By contrast, US data reports declines in the number of workers' compensation claims in states following medical or adult use legalization. State courts have introduced contradictory opinions regarding whether medical cannabis related costs are eligible for reimbursement under workers' compensation law. 6 states, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, allow for reimbursements. 7 states, Maine, Massachusetts,
Whoa. We just lost Dr.
and
T.
Washington
there he is.
And Washington expressly prohibit reimbursement for medical cannabis costs. Weighing in on the issue, Normal Deputy Director Paul Armentano writes, most patients, most physicians, and most state laws view cannabis as a legitimate therapeutic option. Therefore, the millions of Americans who rely upon medical cannabis products ought to be afforded the same entitlement as those who use other conventional medications and therapies. These privileges should include insurance provided reimbursement for medical cannabis treatment. I'm curious to hear from other correspondents and those in the chat who work in dispensaries. How would it affect business if your customers would be reimbursed for their purchases at your dispensary? This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with Hyatt 9 News.
I think that would be awesome if they were able to be reimbursed. That just means they're going to buy more and spend more, and we're going to make more money as dispensaries.
You know, this could be the benefit of Schedule 3, right?
There's going to be no benefit to Schedule 3 because you're not going to be able to sell it, so it's not going to matter.
Okay, all right.
I like what you did there, though, Dr. T. That was I love the effort, though, Dr. T. I love it. I love the spin. I love the spin. This is an excellent shot. Too bad I just happened to be there to just collect it.
I just love this. More proof that cannabis is medicine, or as much medicine as they want to call that other manufactured stuff. Cannabis is medicine, and is helping people get better. I don't remember if you were on the day that I covered that the story out of Europe, Dr. T, when they said that cannabis use for pain is no better than the placebo effect.
Well, it could be placebo effect, but I don't think so. Actually, some patients say, "Well, it doesn't help improve my pain. It just put me in a better mood." But to me, that's an improvement. Whether it's directly the pain or the fact that you don't need to use opiates is a win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dr. T. Oh, go ahead, Rico.
Just put haze. Yeah. Most opiates just make you forget about it, or just put you in a haze and just mask the pain, anyways.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think cannabis is an end all cure all in regards with pain, but I do believe that it allows you to not focus on the pain, because I think that's the most debilitating part of pain, is the fact that you are constantly mentally focused on it, as opposed to focusing on what you need to do to be a productive member of society.
Well,
And there is. Oh, go ahead.
Pain is a symptom, right? It's a symptom of something gone wrong, right? And not all pain is created equal. So you can't treat it as though it's just one single thing and one magic bullet is going to knock your pain away. There's different pain for different reasons. Dr. Talleyrand can elaborate on it, but there isn't going to be a magic bullet for all types of pain. That's a misconception maybe brought on the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, pain is a socio-cultural and molecular concept, but the molecular explanation for how cannabinoids reduce pain is through the trip receptors, most likely. A lot of the cannabinoids have affinity for these receptors called TRP, which are found at the end of nerves. And so when you rub a topical on your skin and it activates the trip or blocks the trip receptors, then you're getting pain relief. So there is a molecular explanation, at least for topicals.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Oh, wow. What's going on with my camera here? But I was gonna ask, like the only way you can really you can kill off pain if you just burn off your nerve endings, right?
No, because it's kind of like short circuiting a wire. Sometimes burning off your nerve endings gets the wire to fire all the time, and then you got chronic pain. So I know that they have some treatments for ablation, but sometimes the patients end up in more pain after nerve ablation.
But I mean, that works for automobile thieves, Dr. Talleyrand.
What works for automobile thieves? Burning off the
burning off that wire, short circuiting, you know what I'm saying? Jump starting that car and getting up out.
That's right. It's a similar concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to my catalytic converter felons out there.
Oh, I bet you got some catalytic converters going on. Oh boy. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Talleyrand. We're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. You guys definitely carrying something, but stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. You'll feel better. We'll feel better. YouTube will love you. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And every article that we cover on today's show, you can also find and read on our website at www.highat9news.com. Make sure you check it out.
Relying on 25 years of commercial hydroponic experience, King Solomon Nutrients has engineered the best liquid and dry fertilizer products for cannabis that preserves the crop, the soil, and the environment. Through relentless passion, research, and innovation, King Solomon has developed simplified cannabis crop nutrition you can trust. It was created for farmers, by farmers. Don't mess around. Try the crown.
You have to get on your back and rip one off the bottom of a Prius.
Oh, boy.
Wait till the trap market starts dealing in catalytic conversion.
Oh, they already are. They already are. There's tons. They get stolen all day out of here, out of cars.
Shout out to OfferUp and Facebook.
Oh, boy.
Sales.
Let's roll.
Up there. Up next, he's a fellow dope dad, former police officer, and now security consultant at CC Security Solutions. Every day bringing us stories to help improve our chances of survival. Y'all know who it is. Chris Eggers, what you got for us today, my man?
Rico Lamitte, thanks for the intro. Oh, let me make sure there we go. All right, my article today comes out of the Modesto Bee. We're talking about taxes. It's going to be tax season before you know it. Stanislaus County is preparing a cannabis tax for the March ballot. What are the rates? Stanislaus County leaders are working on a measure for the March ballot that would set tax rates for permitted cannabis businesses in unincorporated areas only. County staff have recommended that cannabis businesses pay up to an 8% tax on gross sales. If voters approve that measure on March 5th, which is when they're going to vote on it, the County Board of Supervisors could set the tax rate at a percentage below 8%. The tax on cannabis sales would replace a fee structure in development agreements between the county and commercial cannabis permit holders. Some businesses have complained that they can't afford the fees in their development agreements, and officials say that the agreements place an administrative burden on the county. After hearing complaints from multiple permit holders, county supervisors in May 2022 voted to eliminate one of the cannabis fees that generated funds for youth and community programs. So at last Thursday's board meeting, county staff recommended setting a simplified initial tax rate of 8%. Of gross sales for cannabis retail shops only. Initial rates of 2.5% of gross receipts were recommended for cultivation, nurseries, distribution operations, manufacturing, and testing. Attorney Zach Dravon, who represents several cannabis operators, said his clients have concerns about the proposed tax on sales. He said that 2.5% on tax rate on gross sales is unfeasible for legal growers, distributors, manufacturers because wholesale market prices are depressed due to overproduction. So the county approved 26 development agreements with commercial cannabis operators under Prop 64, the initiative that legalized adult use marijuana in 2018. Staff, let's see, hold on. Sorry, Terry Withrow was the only supervisor to oppose to moving forward with the tax measure. He estimated that about 7,500 hours of county staff time was expended on the legal cannabis program in the last year to garner $2 or $3 million in revenue. The board is scheduled to meet on the 28th of next month at a public hearing on a cannabis ordinance, the ballot language, and proposed initial tax rate. The ballot measure would require simple majority approval. So that's what's going on in Stanislaus County. Something to follow into the new year. What do we think about that for plant touching businesses? Specifically, retail businesses are taxed differently than other license types. That's my story. Happy Friday, everybody.
Man, this is interesting. So they're raising the tax rate out there. Am I correct on that, Chris?
To 8%, about 8%.
I mean,
on tax for gross sales.
All this is going to do is just increase the trap markets out there, and basically just stop a lot of people that are already purchasing legally within that county from going there. Like all this doing is raising prices for no good reason.
Yeah, especially at this stage in the game. Like, have they not learned from other?
Well, the other thing that it compounds is THC shopping. You know, when the psychology of the dispensary purchase is that I'm already paying all these taxes, I'm paying for that nice aquarium, I'm paying for those nice chairs over there. I'm going to buy weed that's got the most THC in it because I'm already getting fleeced, right? Yep. So I think it feeds into that narrative around THC shopping.
I would totally agree with that.
Taxation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and Stanislaus it's like a county next to like Alameda County, like on the way, like going down the 5 in the in Nowheresville, basically. You know what I mean? I don't think the county has more than like 250,000 people in total in the county. I'd be surprised if it was over 150.
It's red California, Jason.
Well, I mean,
population of Stanislaus County, Jay, is 500,000 people.
There we go. 500,000
and
people.
It's just south of Stockton, California. So it's like Modesto's Stanislaus County.
Yep,
Patterson,
exactly. Turlock, all of that.
Devin Nunez, was it Nunez there?
No, that is not Devin Nunez district. No, that is not.
Okay.
He was, and he's no longer a congressman. His district was wiped out in the recent configuration of California. And Devin.
Wait, is that where McCarthy's from? Isn't McCarthy from there?
No, McCarthy's from Bakersfield.
Bakersfield, okay.
Yeah, that's in the southern part of the start. That's the most southernest part of the Central Valley, right there.
Red California.
Yeah, it goes basically from McCarthy to Stanislaus.
Jason is I'm not trying to be funny. I'm asking, is Modesto just Northern California, Bakersfield?
I would not consider Modesto Northern California. I consider that Central California.
No, yes, but is Modesto basically like Bakersfield? Is what I'm saying.
Is it another Bakersfield?
Yeah.
Sure.
Rico gets what
I think that whole area is the same thing. I think whether you're in Stockton, Fresno, Bakersfield, Tulare, any of those places, you're basically all stuck in the one big hole, big vacuum.
Yeah. Where does Modesto rank on the Bakersfield scale?
What does it rank? Drive over there and smell it. It's pretty rank.
Oh my god! Let me talk about Salinas.
It's all of it. The whole area.
Oh, man.
The whole central area.
Shout out to the Central Valley.
Yeah. We love you, Central
Good people out
Valley.
there.
You,
Good. Yes,
yeah.
we do. Anyways, we got next,
Yep.
Jason.
Oh, man, we got a commercial. We're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get yourself a Stretch and Smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
That's right, baby. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology. I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on athletes who have chronic pain or injury due to their sport, or the legends of the chronic in the game, baby.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. We just stretched, and now we're going to smoke, because you know what it is.
That's right. I love intuitively creating a session based on the individual I'm working with. We'll go through a few assessments, look at the past health history, injury, or anything that's still affecting you today, and create a customized session just for you. Let's go.
Oh, man. Coming up next, he's a doctor out in the great state of Vermont, out in his Champlain lab, not a Champagne lab, but his Lake Champlain lab. That's right. It is Dr. Mark Schaldone.
Well done.
Yeah.
He's learning.
Yes, we're getting there, man. We're trying.
All right, awesome. Jason, I didn't listen earlier in the week, and I don't know if you guys covered this, but I just wanted to do a quick mention that we lost a real pioneer in psychedelics this week. Professor Roland Griffiths was a professor at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, passed away from colon cancer at the age of 77. Dr. Griffiths was a truly inspiring figure in the field of psychedelics. In fact, it was his groundbreaking paper in 2006 titled "Psilocybin Can Occasional Mystical Type Experiences Having Substantial and Sustained Personal Meaning and Spiritual Significance." That paper right there kind of created quite the ruckus and actually initiated the whole renaissance in psychedelics. And his work is now credited for reviving interest in clinical research into psychedelics for depression, major depression disorders, anxiety disorders, and he really was truly just a pioneer in this field. And I just wanted to make reference to him. I'm inspired by these folks like Raphael Mechoulam and Roland Griffiths because it's their shoulders that allow scientists like me to stand and get a higher view out of the trenches. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, my story today comes from MJ Biz Daily from Chris Roberts. It was published yesterday, October the 19th, and it's entitled "California Marijuana Operators Sue Rival Selling Hemp-Derived THC Products." Companies connected to the prominent San Diego marijuana retail brand are suing 10 competitors that sell hemp-derived cannabinoid products, according to court documents obtained by MJ Biz Daily, noting that state laws ban hemp-derived products that contain Delta-8 THC. A lawsuit filed on September the 14th in San Diego Superior Court claims the hemp retailers are selling edibles, vape cartridges, and other products that contain more THC than what the state allowed state licensed cannabis stores to sell. The defendants include the San Francisco Bay Area based parent of the popular brand Cookies, which started advertising intoxicating hemp-derived products for sale via direct mail in 12 states earlier this year. The plaintiffs are California licensed marijuana companies, including retailers, manufacturers, and distributors that are all connected to the well-known Southern California retail chain March and Ash, according to the San Diego Tribune. Named plaintiffs include March and Ash's retail locations in San Diego and Imperial counties, according to the court records obtained by MJ Biz Daily. The plaintiffs also include Santa Rosa-based licensees Kindhouse Distribution and CRFT Manufacturing, both of which are affiliated with Northern California-based producer Canacraft. Canacraft merged with March and Ash last year. Popularity of hemp-derived products, which have flourished since the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill, is responsible for the downward spiral of the nascent legal cannabis industry, the suit alleges. The plaintiffs are seeking a court order blocking sales of hemp-derived products in question, as well as unspecified damages, including legal fees. Ooh, that's going to be a big paycheck. In addition, Cookies Creative Consulting and Promotions, the parent company of prominent cookie brands, names the following companies in lawsuits. Lawsuits names Inoid, Cali Extracts, Cannably, Cutleaf Stores, Delta Extracts, Hazy Extracts, Savage Enterprises, 3C, and Trey Wellness. According to court documents, the plaintiffs accusing the 10 competitors, some having brick and mortar retail locations in San Diego, of having brazenly flooded the California marketplace with these highly intoxicated and chemically synthesized illegal designer drugs with the intention to evade and undermine the comprehensive system to control and regulate cannabis products. Since the hemp-derived source material must undergo a chemical process before it can potentially be intoxicating and thus marketable, the end products do not qualify as legal industrial hemp or raw hemp products under California law, the suit alleges. The defendants have yet to file a response to the complaint according to court records. States across the country, including California, have sought to curtail hemp-derived cannabinoid products through restrictions or outright bans, but enforcement has proved difficult. And that's my story today on the High at 9 News. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think. This is Dr. Mark from the Green Mountain State of Vermont with a V.
With a V.
Yes.
Shout out to the V.
I don't think anybody saw this coming.
No. Oh man.
Well, it's bold what they're doing here. I mean, they've teamed up. There's a sizable number of businesses that are going after another sizable number of businesses. You got to believe that, you know, if they do subpoena their business records, that they'll be able to see exactly how much in sales are basically leaving the state. For people who want to buy psychoactive cannabinoids, why would they go to a dispensary when they could just go down to the 7-Eleven or wherever that's selling these places? I think mostly it's internet sales. And once you click that I'm 21, you're 2 clicks away from putting in your credit card information.
Yep. I'm surprised even they're not talking about the THCA stuff. I got cast down in VA. It sent me like, yo, I got these cookies. It's THCA. Like, is it any different? I was like, bro.
Well, and if you go to Cookies' website, Cookies was selling crystalline THCA, white crystalline THCA, purified 100% clean, pure. They were selling that here in Vermont. Well, Vermont spanked them, and they can't do that over the internet. They can only do that, I guess, in a handful of states. But that is really what you have to realize is THCA is 87% D9 THC.
Right.
Wait, can you say that again? Hold on. Say that one more time.
D9 THCA. THCA, which is what the plant makes.
Yep.
Is 87% by weight D9 THC.
But it's not intoxicating until you put a flame to it.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, what we know is that activity at the CB1 receptor is much greater for decarboxylated D9 THCA. I'm sorry, D9 THC, but THCA has a myriad of different anti-inflammatory and analgesic properties. Cannabinoid acids are really a new frontier in cannabinoid medicinal research, because the reason why you're pointing out, it was always thought that THCA was inactive and you have to heat it up, decarboxylate it to make THC. And while you're talking about getting high, which is agonizing your CB1 receptor, that is true. But THCA and the cannabinoid acids in particular, all of them, all have very strong anti-inflammatory properties. So it was recently shown that CBGA completely shuts down stored calcium entry into nerve cells, which causes, again, a cascade of things resulting in inflammation. So there's a lot that we don't know just yet. But the point is that when the Farm Bill only drew a distinction around Delta 9 THC, and then down in the fine print, they said, well, you have to decarboxylate when you test your hemp flower. All that high THCA hemp flower, when decarboxylated, is going to come onto the screen as high THC cannabis. So there is no play around the Farm Bill with THCA. That's extremely risky, and maybe that flies down in Texas where they seem to be, hanging their hats on that. But I would really consider the risk about sending THCA over state lines just because the Farm Bill doesn't mention it.
But I mean, there's a ton of companies that are doing that right now. I've seen on a whole bunch of websites.
This is all.
Well, they're doing it at a very large risk, and a lot of these companies, Jason, as you know, can get busted once or twice, and then they have 10 other operations that are financing their things. So, having one or two things go down when 10 other things get through doesn't really impact their business.
I think, like companies like allegedly cookies, because it's a lawsuit ongoing and everything. Companies like them that are choosing the questionable hemp market to stay afloat, man. It's
What do you mean?
Result of not being able to make money.
If you go on Cookies website right now, they have THCA flower for sale. Looks just like regular trees, okay?
Right.
And they ship to, I want to say, 42 states. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's 42 states. I think it's 8 states that don't allow for THCA flower in them. I could be wrong, but it does state on their website how many states they ship to.
I think
I don't understand. All one flower is THCA.
Yeah, Dr. T, I agree with you on that, buddy. I agree with that. I think anyone should make that claim in court. 100%.
But
it's all
THCA
THCA.
is illegal.
THCA
is controlled.
Nope. THCA Delta 9 is what is illegal, not THCA under the Farm Act.
They'll call it all THC. When you look at your certificate of analysis and they say total THC, it includes THCA, right?
Not how it's being interpreted currently. It is not. It's only specific to THC Delta 9.
Well, if you read the language of the Farm Bill, if you read down into the Code of Federal Regulations, it says that you have to test all hemp products in a post-decarboxylation way. That's it. That they're done. There's no THCA post-decarboxylation. So if you read down the Code of Federal Regulations, people don't, and those people who are selling THCA over state lines are making a ton of fucking money. And not getting busted, so shit, business as usual. Trap market will go.
And that's the online trap market.
Yes, the online trap market.
It's like Alibaba 2.0.
It takes your Visa card.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Salvia?
Oh God. Oh man.
Oh, salvia. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man, the doctor's getting excited over the salvia.
Well, I've said this. I've said this a few times, and I just want to say it again. That with CBD isolate cratering below $400 a kilogram, it is cheaper to make Delta 9 THC from converting it from CBD than it is to get a license in a state, hire a bunch of employees to grow cannabis, to get inspected, to get tested, to extract that cannabis, to refine that cannabis into a THC input for those products. You've just spent 10x the amount that these guys are spending. And in a commodity market, you won't survive if your ingredient costs 10x what your competitors do. That's it. That's it. THC.
So that's why Cookies is suing, right?
But you know, Dr. Talleyrand, what I think, all those edibles that Cookies sells in Manhattan, and all their seltzers and their sodas, that's all chemically converted D9 THC, period. Because that is the cheapest THC on planet Earth today. So if you can pull out costs, they will do
I
it.
thought Cookies was the plaintiff. No?
This has got its fingers in both cookie jars. You know, they do both. Yeah.
Mark.
Interesting. Interesting. I have one last story. I have one last story for you guys. I think you guys are going to find this extremely interesting, and this actually comes out of Virginia, Rico, so you know you're going to love it. Because a cannabis group launches a campaign against marijuana-impaired driving, you guys. The Virginia Cannabis Control Authority, better known as the CCA, is making new efforts to warn people about the dangers of driving while high. The authorities rolled out its Safe Driving campaign to increase awareness of the risks of driving under the influence of cannabis and to highlight the importance of planning for a sober ride. Last fall, CCA issued a survey of nearly 800 Virginians and collected information about cannabis use while driving. The findings show several people admitted to driving high a few times or more in the last year and did not make plans for a sober ride home. Imagine that. Brianna Brandt, a health policy data manager for CCA, said the 2022 survey is concerning. 30% of Virginians think that using cannabis while driving makes driving safe, she said, and people aren't perceiving cannabis use while driving as something to be alarmed by or something that causes impairment. Almost one out of three respondents falsely believe marijuana usually makes drivers safer, according to Burnett. I'd argue those people might be right. You know what I mean? And conspiracy theorists are winning right now, so you never know. The survey also showed just 26% of Virginians saw marijuana-impaired driving as extremely dangerous. But that has a much lower response rate compared to other risky behaviors like targeting or like texting or drinking alcohol while driving. Burnett said the legalization of medical marijuana may have reduced the perception or risk, but she says that created some alarming data points for us, she said, of the survey. Virginia State Police Crime of Virginia 2022 report shows that there were 1,560 arrests for marijuana violations, including dozens of driving under the influence, and that number is about a 37% decline from 2021 when possession and personal use of cannabis became legal in Virginia. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, also updated crime statistics in their database, which includes data tracked by hundreds of law enforcement agents across Virginia, and it reveals a downward trend of marijuana-related arrests as well. The good news is that the numbers in both reports show that marijuana arrests in Virginia continue their downward trend. J.P. Pendini, the executive director of Virginia National Organization, basically of NORML, and he says this lets us know that Virginians made legalization laws that was enacted in 2021 is operating exactly as legislators had intended. Pendy said we can expect the number of arrests to continue to go down, and he also says we can expect post-legalization for marijuana arrests to decrease by about 90%, and that's exactly what we have seen happen in the Commonwealth, he says. CCA rolled out its safe driving campaign by putting up billboards and digital advertisements as well as radio and television public service announcements to educate the public. And it also includes a social media campaign and partnership efforts with the Virginia organization and businesses to inform Virginians of the risks of driving while high. The ad targets recreational and medical consumers, parents, and friends of consumers. Well. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's
you said arrests have been on the decline. Is that right, Jason?
That's right. And that kind of contradicts the story that we covered yesterday in regards saying that arrests are up nationwide.
You know, I think it's interesting because it says like cannabis group in Virginia. So I looked it up, because Glenn Youngkin killed like the whole forward movement, Jason's boy down there. But the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority it says that they are a subdivision of the government. So I mean they have a .gov website and everything, but it's like a subdivision, like a separate category there. So it's not like they're like another normal or anything. It's like it seems like they're trying to set up, a government-based agency, but Glenn Youngkin wouldn't let them go full government here. So I don't know, man. It's weird.
I don't know. Rico always with the skepticism.
I think smoking makes me drive better.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm part of that one. I'm part of that 1 in 3 Virginians right there. When I'm in Virginia, at least.
I'm too aggressive of a driver when I'm sober.
I want to know if it's one thing for arrests, for them to say arrests have been on the decline, but what about prosecution rates? Because again, I think that there's a lot of law enforcement officers that are erroneously arresting people for under the influence that are not well versed in cannabis DUIs, and the reason I say that is officers are on a standard level trained in alcohol DUIs, but very few officers are DREs, drug recognition experts. In California, less than 2% of cops hold that designation, which is the officers that should be called to the scene if they believe that there's poly drug use happening.
Question, Chris. How do you get more prosecutions with fewer arrests?
How do you get? No, I guess my question was, I wonder what the prosecution rate is, because I think that what we're going to see is again people being arrested.
You're saying that the prosecution rates are going to go down even more than what the arrest rates are going down at. Then
I'm curious if they will. Right? I'm curious if they will. I think that's the barometer we need to follow, not the arrest rate, because I know for a fact a lot of people are arrested that shouldn't be for being under the influence of cannabis.
Right.
Oh man, you'll love this, Rico. My aunt, she just texted me. Are you ready for this, Rico? My 80-year-old aunt, she says, "Stop the road rage, stop the street racing. What's wrong with that? Bring on the weed." With a checkered flag emoji.
How old is she, Jason? What'd you give it? Is she as old as Joe Biden yet?
I think Joe Biden's older, but I'm not. You're gonna get her mad. She's gonna start blowing my phone up now because of you.
Big ups to Auntie. Big ups to the Auntie. She always giving us showing us love on the text too.
Yeah, she loves.
But we are at the top of the hour. Everybody, thank you all for joining us for yet another week of High at 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen, and to our live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos. Also, our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and all of our sponsors keeping the lights on, and usually our AV struggles to a minimum. And as always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we show up to read these headlines every single day. Thank you. It has been Friday, October 20th, 2023. Show's over. You've all been blessed with a week's worth of top industry headlines. Hope it was enough to put you in your pipe and smoke at least until Monday. And today I want to give it up to Dr. Mark Chardon. What you got for these people? You can leave with a good message.
Well, last Friday, my message was hug a farmer. So because of Roland Griffiths passing away, why don't we hug a mushroom farmer?
Make sure they wash their hands first.
Oh man, they're gonna come out with